Hello, ISR Nation. This is Chuck Rivers, one of the hosts of Inner Success Radio, and I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. The audio quality on this one is not the best from my end as far as my recording. The recording for Billionaire Brown and our guest Amirah Hall sounds pretty solid. So there were some challenges pre-production, but just wanted to give you guys a heads up. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it.
Would you like to begin a series of strategies that will propel you into achieving personal mastery? Do you desire to have breakthroughs in unlocking your potential? Do you seek to live a life that is full of joy, peace, and happiness? Each week, join Charles and Demetrius as they share tools and strategies that will help you take control of your life so you can live a life of peace, joy, and abundance. Now here are your hosts, Charles and Demetrius.
Hey, and welcome to another episode of Inner Success Radio. This is Chuck Rivers alongside host Billionaire Brown. And each week we bring you inspiring guests to help you unlock your full potential. And today we have
get it out,
Amirah Hall. Amirah Hall, welcome to Success Radio.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. I'm delighted to be here.
We're glad you decided to join. Demetrius, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Everything is great. Another beautiful day here in Raleigh, North Carolina. And
bragging? Are you bragging? Are you bragging?
Yes, I am bragging.
Okay.
And I'm also wearing deodorant, by the way. Today I decided to wear
Well, you know we don't.
No, only on Wednesdays and Fridays usually.
Very interesting.
Are you an everydayer with deodorant?
I am. Unfortunately,
are
meaning
you
I
bragging?
I said unfortunately because I don't like the chemicals in it, and I've tried natural deodorant. It just burns my pits, so I'm still on this for natural deodorant.
Oh, okay. So that's a little fun fact there.
my soap is natural.
He's got natural repellent.
My soap is natural. My toothpaste is natural. Only thing I haven't, even my lotion is natural. Just haven't made the transition with deodorant as of yet. So,
lucky you.
I guess depends on who you ask. Hi, bro.
And where you're at.
Yeah, where you're at. All right, bro. Go ahead and get us started with the question.
All right. So here is our question. Let's see. Okay, yeah, let's do this one. Okay. All right. So here's the question of the day. All right. The question is really simple today. Okay. It is, if money were no concern, what would you do for the rest of your life? Okay. And again, I'm going to ask, I'll say the question again for those of you that are in the gym that like to participate with our question of the day. And we never forget about those of you who are driving to work listening to us as well. So the question again is, if money were no concern, what would you do for the rest of your life? Charles, kick us off here.
To every single country, different cultures. Well, you said that. What would I do every single day for the rest of my life? Or what is something that I would do?
Well, I guess it doesn't every day, every second, every minute. I don't know. I mean, it just says if money were no concern, what would you do for the rest of your life?
Well, I would continue to podcast and travel. I would be a traveling podcasting from different countries, different areas of the world.
Okay, I like that. I like that a lot, actually. All right, and I really do. I do like that. Traveling.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah. All right, so let's go over to you, Amirah. What do you have? If money were no concern, what would you do for the rest of your life?
I would do what I'm doing now, teaching people how to make miracles.
Teaching people how to make miracles.
Yeah, because I think, you're assuming, or maybe I'm going to complicate the question. Are you assuming that somebody had no money and then all of a sudden they got money? Or it's just you're born into it? Because I think it's a whole different attitude and a process and journey is if you don't have it and then all of a sudden you're in it, versus if you're struggling and then all of a sudden you have it. It's a whole different mindset. I've sort of been evaluating all that for the last 5 years, in fact.
And what did you come up with?
Well, the bottom line is I'm living my passion right now. I'm on my perfect path, and I'm teaching people how to be the best person they can be. So whether you have money or no money, to me, the core of who you are and how you're living every day matters more than the money you have in the bank.
Wow.
Can I interject really? Sorry, I know, Demetrius, you got that. So somebody put actually my aunt, she had put a post on Facebook earlier, and I'm just going back to it. It was money. It was money bathing. Let me see. I'm pulling it up right now. It was okay. So the post pretty much said it was 4 things, and none of the things has to go. One was bathing, the other one was sex, the third one was money, and the fourth one was family. And so the question was posed: which one go first? Or if out of those 4 you had to get rid of one, which one would you get rid of? Money, believe it or not, because the other, I value, of course, I value hygiene, I value family, and I value sex as well. So that was pretty interesting. And a lot of people put different theories on which one they would get rid of.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking about money, that's what triggered that out there. So I'm going to interject.
Well, here's the thing, if we're in alignment, if we know more about who and what we are as a being, as a person, as a human, and as a soul, I think we would understand that we are super amazing, powerful creatures, and that we could create anything we needed. We wouldn't need money.
Yeah. And that's how I phrased it earlier, because my response was I would get rid of money because money is just a concept, right? I mean, if the example I gave, if groceries or something, go out and buy some type of trade that I have, some type of I have in exchange for money, trade in for goods and services. So money is just a concept. So I would get rid of money.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that's powerful.
Yeah, that is. We go back to bartering, which is a real good way. Service for service. That's good. All right. So I would answer the question, and I actually just picked the question as we were just started the podcast. But it's actually interesting because I just said this same thing yesterday, right? And it was, I would do exactly what I'm doing right now. Obviously, I would be more polished. I would be more, I would have mastered, I'm mastering my craft, right? So with time considered, I would do exactly the same thing that I'm doing right now without a shadow of a doubt. And I love it. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Let's kick this interview off, Charles.
That's interesting. We each said the same thing, that work that we're doing now, we would need to do. So it seems like we're all 3 of us are on the path that we want to be on right now anyway. So that was very interesting.
And that's very rare.
Yeah, it is.
People, I mean, we're batting 100%, right?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Well, and what I find too in the work I'm doing is that more and more people are what I call waking up, and they want to find what, gets them excited in the morning. And, when they jump out of bed and put their feet on the floor, they want to be passionate about their day and their life and their work. And I think that's where a lot of people struggle. So maybe our listeners aren't on the same page, but I think it's fantastic that you guys are right there too. It's powerful to be in that place of creativity and inspiration and serve people around us with that vibration.
Now let's do that a little bit more, Amirah. Let's, because one of the things that we're always interested in is how they ended where they are today. We've had psychologists on the program before. We've had people who've done real estate, had investors. We've had all different type of people, and each had his own unique twist. So tell us about your background and about the work that you do today.
Well, I started out my career as an interior designer, and over the years that transitioned as I moved from Canada to the United States. And then I worked in sales and marketing and got into computer maintenance services and selling backup emergency power equipment. And all the time I was, developing my career and making a 6-figure salary. I was, back to the money thing, I was content with the money. I was filled with, satisfaction, and proud of myself, for doing that kind of work and being a success, until I started feeling a yearning for spiritual connection. And I felt like I was being called to Peru. So I went on a journey in Peru, and I was in the jungle working with a shaman. And what happened was I started to realize that I was an energy of light. And I mean, this is pretty bizarre stuff, but we were doing, have you guys heard of ayahuasca?
Ayahuasca? No. So
it's a plant. It's a root that the shaman creates, blesses and sings and prays over this. It's actually a hallucinogenic plant. And it's a very powerful spiritual initiation and ceremony. So they gave us each a cup of this drink. It's like a shot glass of this substance that literally takes you on a journey. And of course, everybody has their own story if they've experienced that. I'm not a drug person. I'm not somebody that's looking for a high or looking for something that's new and different or a fad. I was just looking to connect with me. And when working with the shaman, what I discovered was I started shooting through the cosmos in this experience that I came through a Stargate. Now, I'm not a Trekkie. I'm just a conservative little girl from Canada, raised Catholic, and not looking for all of this super cosmic stuff. So when I got this awareness that I was, as a soul, came to this planet at the early times of Egypt, I was blown away. I'm like, what is this? What is this? This is okay. Somebody might say, well, that's a trip, Amirah. Okay, so then in that moment, I knew immediately I needed to go to Egypt. So exactly 1 year later, I found some people. I got on a trip. And this was in the late 90s. So the internet wasn't even big. I mean, we barely had the internet. So I go off to Egypt and had this amazing spiritual journey. And at the end of the journey, I had a near-death experience, and which transformed me, because when I came out of the experience, I started seeing things, like I was seeing statues smile at me, and I was seeing in a wood grain door or armoire, I could see the essence like a ghost, but it was like the essence of Sekhmet, was the goddess of healing in ancient times. And I thought, oh, I'm losing my mind. I'm losing my mind. And so 24 hours later, I was on a plane. I flew back to New York from Cairo to Atlanta, San Diego. And I was seeing people like black and white paper dolls. Wow. And I was filled with grief and sadness and anger. I didn't want to be here. I was freaked out. Yeah. And so then my journey here, I had to go back to my corporate job, and I was miserable. I fired my friends and my family. I fired my hobbies. I let go of everything that was invaluable or important in my life, and I struggled. I struggled immensely for about 9 months. And finally, I found a healer, because I didn't dare go see a psychologist. I thought, oh my gosh, they are going to lock me up and throw away because they're going to think you're a nutcase. You know, I felt like I am a grounded, educated, graduated magna cum laude. I'm a sensible, normal person. And so I finally found this healer that says, oh, you know what? It's easy. You've got stuck energy. And I was like elated. I was like, okay, I get that. Now that means I can do something about this state I'm in. I had years before, had gone to counseling and had, visits with psychologists, and just personal counseling type of thing. But I was ready to make a change, that I was in so much pain. And I said, just show me how. Just guide me, give me the tools. I'll do whatever it takes. That's how much pain I was in. And within a year of practicing, and every week going to a class and, rehearsing and practicing, I started sharing with people because I could see their energy frequency. I could see through a body. I can see, it's like, I consider myself like a human virus scanner. So if you've got a computer, and when your computer gets a virus or malware, it goes cuckoo, right? Yeah. Your programs aren't operating properly. And then if you reboot, sometimes it gets better, but when you finally have to break down and take it to the shop, I'm that person. But what I do is I see the energy of a person, and I can see where their thoughts and feelings have blocked their natural flow. Because I believe God gave us each a program, and that's our soul's program, and we've got a path and a purpose. We've got lessons to learn, but there is a specific journey that we get to choose what we're going to do and how we're going to experience it. So in my near-death experience, I learned, first of all, that everything is love, and all of creation is love, and that we are energy, and that in order for us to connect with our heart's desires, we have to release emotions and feelings and programming that we've attracted from our parents, from situations, institutions, our religions that are blocking the flow of our soul. And so that was kind of it in a nutshell. So that's why I can't do anything else other than what I'm doing, because that near-death experience showed me what I am, what you are, and how to create the things I want in my life is energy. Once you understand the principles of the universe of energy, then boom, we're creating miracles and magic. As Jesus said, you'll do what I do and much more.
And what's interesting is, and of course, a lot of the work that you do is not mainstream. A lot of people still to woo when it's out there. But I know the military has actually done numerous studies, near-death experiences, distant healing, energy healing, but about that in mainstream, right? That's something that pop up on CNN.
You're absolutely right. Maybe not yet, but I know that Dateline, I think, and PBS, they are doing near-death experiences. There's a Dr. Eben Alexander who was a brain surgeon who actually had a near-death experience, and he documented his whole journey while he was in his coma. And there's other experts, that have the MD behind their name that give the whole scientific, let's call it a spiritually transformative experience, give it some sense of reality and truth, But honestly, millions and millions of people every year are having near-death experiences that are transforming their lives. Only it's just, as you said, with the internet and more people sharing the stories and the reality of they're different. I am not the same person I was before.
Yeah.
And it's exciting because we all have these abilities.
Yes.
Only we're dumbed down and shut down by our institutions, call them the schools. Our parents don't know about this. And how can they talk to us or teach us about energy when they don't know? So it's wonderfully exciting because we get to create miracles when we know. And who doesn't want a miracle?
It does.
And we're always calling Jesus for a miracle, aren't we?
So from interior design to IT, with all the experience you had in between, and then from receive that initial insight or intuition, what any of this before? Did you come across a book or what happened? Because yes, it happened where one day we're at work and we just get this thought that's and it's like a really pressing, and we act on it. But then we may read a book, we may have a book on our shelf that we haven't picked up in a while. But was there something that triggered this whole process for you?
That's a great question. I appreciate. I think I've always been searching. I was raised Catholic, but I would go to all my friends' churches. At first, the very first time, I was scared that if I went in, I might not come out. I didn't know what was going to happen. But I started exploring, as a teenager, different churches, just trying to find a connection, trying to find something that resonated with me. And so I've been open to exploring my spiritual self. And so that didn't stop. I mean, when I started my travels, curious about shamanism in Egypt, I embarked on Egyptology as a student, just to curiously. I read many books, just trying to find what was my soul, what was that all about, or who am I really? And so I've had a long, maybe 30 years now, that I've been on the journey, reading meditations, studying different programs, studying with the teachings of the inner Christ, studying the teachings of Ernest Holmes, and the law of attraction way back. Maybe 20 years ago, I started studying with the Master Key of Riches, which talks about, basically Think and Grow Rich principles by Napoleon Hill. By the way, just a segue, I don't know which political slant you guys might have, but I was intrigued to find out. I watched a documentary on Donald Trump. His father used to take him to church by, was it Norman Vincent Peale? And Norman Vincent Peale wrote the book of The Power of Positive Thinking. And so as a young boy at 8 years old, he was being infused with these notions of thinking big, thinking what you think you can have. Now, we could get into some argument over that whole thing, and I don't want to, distract anybody here, but I was fascinated with that little bit of information because I think that's true. And it's how do you maybe manipulate others. I'm not suggesting that that's the positive way of getting what you want, but thinking big, that's the point.
Yeah, that's huge. And with Donald Trump, he's definitely a big thinker. He may not we may not agree with it the way he thinks, but he definitely thinks really, really big. Yeah,
that's right. And he feels like he deserves it, whatever he wants. And most of us stop ourselves. Oh no, I couldn't do that. Or, even the notion of being a president, my gosh. Sorry for bringing that into the topic, but
No, that's fine. No, that's fine. It all ties in together somehow.
Yeah, that is good. I've actually, well, yeah, that's actually really good. I didn't know that about Norman Vincent Peale. And you know, we're pretty open about politics. If you want to talk more about it, feel free to, and we'll take it in that direction. However, I did have a question. I heard you talking earlier. You said the phrase. I think you said something like, "Everybody wants a miracle, right? Who doesn't want a miracle? We ask for miracles all the time." But as the same as we, you know, a lot of people want $1 million in their bank account, right? But when they find out what they have to do to actually get it, right, that's a whole different story. And I created a very popular program online. It's called the 10 Commandments of Becoming a Masterful Communicator and Public Speaker. Mm-hmm. And the very first thing that we thought would be great to have as the number one thing is to make it some type of decision, make a commitment. What would you say is like, I guess, a prerequisite for helping people create miracles, or people creating these miracles themselves? Like, what is a prerequisite? Like something that we may not want to do to get the miracle, but if we did this, we would be open to it.
We need to be in alignment. And by that, it might not register in a linear part of or in a left brain, because our brains are going, well, what does that mean in alignment? Your thoughts and your feelings have to be in harmony. So where I work with people mostly is on the unconscious part of themselves, that part of themselves that's blocking any miracle. Or maybe a better question would be, have you ever been in the flow?
Absolutely.
where no matter what you touched, it just flowed?
That happened to me today in the gym. I was playing basketball and I couldn't miss. It was amazing.
What a rush that is, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it's a high. And you can't even believe you're doing it sometimes. But as soon as you start doubting it, that's when you flub up. So the point is, there's an unconscious part of us, like an iceberg. Only the tip shows above the water. All that part of us that's below water, our unconscious that's hidden from our own thoughts, that's the energetic baggage that I call your malware, that's running unbeknownst to you on your hard drive. You might not have the program open, but it's still running. It's like having, you're working on Word or Excel, and then you might just minimize it. It's still opening and running, and it might be slowing down your computer. So it's the same with your ability to manifest. So if you're not in alignment, your spirit, your emotion, and that whole line of, it's like your spiritual energetic anatomy has to be all the spark plugs have to be firing at the same time.
Yeah, that's really big. And I'm interested now because you said that, sometimes where we're in that flow, you called it, right? We're in that flow and sometimes we doubt it. Kind of like when, Peter was walking on water, right? Peter was walking on water really well. For those who know the story in the Bible, right? He's walking perfectly well. But then he started to doubt himself. He started, wait, how am I doing? And that's when he fell in, right? And that's when he could never do it again, right? When we get into that flow, because even with me today, playing basketball, it was just like, there was that moment where it was like, oh my goodness, like I can't miss. Like I'm throwing these things up. What? I can't miss. Like
the belief that you could miss was actually challenging you.
And and you know how I blocked it out and how I got back in my flow and I didn't let it disrupt me is I said, I'm supposed to make these shots. Something came over me, Charles and Amirah, and it was like, I'm supposed to be making these shots. So I just kept shooting them. But my question is, for those of us who ever get into a zone, physically, mentally, spiritually, whatever you want to do, what would you say is another way that we can block out that doubt? I've even seen Brian Tracy. He uses the technique cancel, right? Like what is something that you would recommend for someone that's in the flow, in the zone, right? And they're starting to get this doubt start creeping in their heads. How do they keep that blocked out? Do you have any?
The energy tool that I use, I call them quantum energy tools, is I imagine sticking that thought into a stick of dynamite and exploding it. Now, guys love this. Or they can pull out a machine gun or an AK-47 and go, bap, 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 bap. Just blow the heck out of it. But have some fun with it. See, it made you laugh, right? Okay, here's another one. I love fireworks. So the New Year's Eve or the 4th of July is perfect for me. I imagine all my shitty thoughts just going bam, 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 bam. All my disappointments, all my frustrations, things that aren't working for me. I put them in those explosions and just let it rip. And then, or for some people, I use a symbol of a rose. So you imagine dropping that fear or a limiting belief inside a rose and let the petals just go poof and they all fly all over. So that's prettier, more gentler for the ladies. You know, and it's a symbol. It's a symbol, but it gets you to do something with the thought. You know, cancel's another example, but sometimes we don't catch them. That's when we get into trouble, right? That's the unconscious part that's creating for you unbeknownst to you.
And that's interesting that this topic came up because I used to do something similar. It's funny, I haven't done it in a while, but whenever I would get a thought that I didn't want in my head, I would imagine that there's a little me inside my brain, and I would take the thought, ball it up, and kick it. Like
that's great.
As if I kick it outside of my brain, and it was interesting. It worked. Like it really worked. Like I have a negative thought, like little me, I ball it up, and I would kick it right out, and the thought would go away. I'm like, wow,
that's fantastic. That's a real cool quantum energy tool, because you've literally done something and you've transformed it. So when we explode something, it works like the law of nature. You can't create or destroy energy, right? So you're just moving it, you're shifting it, a vibration, and it gives it something somewhere else to go. I like to have fun with the tools because life gets too serious.
Yeah, very great. Do you do a lot? So I know you're an energy healer. So I'm going to go off the women and assume that you do a lot of work with the chakras.
The basis of the work is your energy. And so the chakras are the anatomy of your spirit, your energy that you are as a soul. So the chakras are like your blood and bones. Okay, the blood and bones and muscles are your spiritual anatomy. So I'm like a chiropractor for the soul. I adjust the chakras. I remove energy. I remove like the viruses I was talking about, or the malware that's creating the breakdown. So the chakras can't spin. But when they're in full communication with your body, that's where we create these miracles and abundance flows to us. You know, a lot of my clients are looking for love, and they continually create crappy relationships or find themselves in the same kind of cyclic pattern that just sends them down a rabbit hole of despair. And what we want to do is create harmonious business relationships. We want to create good, you know, family experiences and relationships with our spouse or a business partner. And in order to do that, we have to be in alignment. It has nothing to do with anybody else.
Yeah, I agree. And my, I don't want to say resolution, but one of my focuses for this coming year, and I've actually already started working on some of the stuff, is doing a lot of internal work, a lot of meditation, and put a lot of emphasis on health as well, because I believe that's really important. But what's interesting about the work is I had a coworker come to me, I will say a few weeks ago, and she was telling me, but she had lower back pains, and she's been to chiropractor, acupuncture. She's been through it all. Of course, I'm not an expert in this area, but the idea popped in my head, like, well, she could have a blockage. But you got to be careful, especially when you're not an expert, when you're making those kind of recommendations to somebody who may not be familiar with it. And I gently said, hey, you know, it could be an energy blockage. You know, a lot of times when we have these pain in areas of the body that we can do, it's more so on an energetic level where the pain is arriving.
You know, you make a really good point. And I think because we're all educated in thinking that, let's say the table or your floor is solid, or the chair you're sitting on solid, it is not. And our bodies are not solid. And it's the way we perceive it and the speed at the way the molecules are vibrating that it appears solid to us. Yeah. So all pain in the body, all pain, emotional, mental, spiritual, or physical, is stuck energy, because the nature of the universe is that everything is energy. And science is proving that now to us. Now we have to wrap our head around this and sort of regroup, and our belief systems and the way we're programmed to thinking has to shift. As we open our mind to the possibility that, wow, that lower back pain could be that some guy was admiring my butt walking down the street.
Hey.
And his thoughts got stuck in the wiggle and it's creating my pain.
Yeah, interesting.
It's true, you know. Women store energy in their ovaries, okay, from sexual energy. Now, Okay, I'm going to go a little bit into the chakras. The energy center just below our navel is the second chakra. And that energy center contains information regarding relationship, regarding sexuality, regarding creativity and emotions. And so there's a lot of stuff going on there. Mm-hmm. And so it could be emotional pain from maybe a childhood experience that's stuck in her ovaries. Could be from a sexual experience, a month ago or 10 years ago. So it's complicated. Yeah. And we don't have to know what it is. All we have to know is, how do we start letting it go? And so what I do is, one of the very first tools I teach people is how to ground themselves. And so we can imagine from the tailbone at the base of the spine, a cord or a tube or an anchor. I like to use a waterfall or a train track or a super slide. And you can just start releasing energy down that tube. And the same is true with our sexual organs. Men, it's the same thing. I know guys that they perpetuate, bad business deals, or things just keep falling through their fingers. They can't seem, well, they've got female energy stuck in their male part. Yeah. And it could be their mom that's trying to, raise them like a man. But guess what? A female can't teach a man how to be a man. Yeah.
Quick question. Is that energy at the base of the spine the same as the Kundalini energy, or is that something different?
Well, Kundalini is the life force energy, but what we're doing is we're using the tailbone and the base of your spine. That's where the body gets anchored, the spirit gets anchored into the body. And it's also where we store the information about our body to feel safe, because we all want and need to feel safe. And when the body feels safe, then we can let go of what we're unconsciously holding on to. But we can't do it until we feel safe in the body. And so it's a safe way to discharge. They have grounding wires on electrical devices, right? So if there's a surcharge through the lines, that excessive flow of energy has someplace to go rather than blowing up your device. So the same is true with us. We just haven't had a way to discharge foreign energies. So
have you ever seen the movie Shawshank Redemption?
Yeah.
What was your take on it? You believe that anything in there is miracle-like? I know it's a movie, but I believe some of that is actually true as far as the internal side of it. Like, what was your take on that movie? Did you see
give me any
miracles?
Specifics? Because I can't remember.
Give you specific. Here's a specific right here. Because when you're talking about being grounded and it's a self thing, there was a part in the movie where they were talking about the guy, Andy Dufresne, I think his name was. The guy who got sentenced for killing his wife, and he really didn't do it. Eventually, he escaped. However, there was a part in there where they said that although he was in prison, he was so grounded, it was almost as if he was still at home. So I say that to say there's times where a lot of bad things could be going on in our lives, but some people have that innate ability to actually just block everything out and really just focus in on their inner self and make their bad into good or something like that. Like, do you remember that part? Does that stand out?
I barely remember it, but I completely agree with you. And that is true. And that's exactly what we're talking about here, is to find that peace and stillness within you is so incredibly powerful. And if we can anchor, and I use these words that might be foreign to you or to some of our listeners, but it's like our spirit, the essence of who we are, has to be fully grounded and connected to our physical body. That's when we get into our flow. Because when you were in the flow on the basketball court, that's an example of your spirit and body being completely in communication with each other, and you're anchored. And so the guy visualized himself at home and at peace and in contentment. So he was creating that feeling, and it's that feeling that is the magnetic and the power. Because we're creating all the time, but we're not aware of our feelings. They're going out there and they're creating for us.
And another awesome thing, you're talking about being grounded and being in the flow and being anchored. I love all of those words. Very important to me. But I was on your website, and from time to time when we have guests, I go to some of our guest websites, and I don't look at the things that they offer typically. What I really look for, because I was taught in business that, if the person says it, it's a lie. but if somebody else says it, it's the truth, right? So I was looking on your testimony section. I really liked, there was one that stood out to me out of all the ones that I read, and one that really stood out to me, and I guess it kind of threads in with being anchored, is this Maggie. And I'm going to read the testimony if you guys don't mind. And then I wanted to ask you a question about it. It says, Amirah, after just 4 sessions, I got back together with my boyfriend. That's a big surprise. I'm letting all the energy changes settle down, reinforcing the effects, because I do feel something big has shifted. Even more surprising, this is my favorite part right here, is my boyfriend notices the changes and wants to come for a session 2. I'm so happy and loving how I feel. Thank you so much, Amirah. Now, let me pick out the part that I really, really like. I like the part where Maggie comes for help for herself first. She reaches out for help first. Once she reaches out for help first, she implements some of the things that she was working with you with. By her implementing some of the things that you were working with her with, her boyfriend started to notice the changes.
That's a miracle.
Yeah, that's a miracle. And what I think women sometimes do, and this is just my perspective and my living, is that we will say, Maggie is going to bring her boyfriend. Hey, John, we need to go and get these sessions together. We need to get this session with Amirah. But what she did is she went first. And then based off of what he saw, he said, hey, I want to get some of these. I want to get some of what you got too.
That's exactly right. That's the magic.
That mean? That is the magic. It's beautiful. But can you just speak on that concept of what this particular person did? She came first, said, hey, I'm going to use this up, and he's going to have no other choice but to see this great stuff that I've been working on.
You know,
like,
that wasn't her intention at all, because they weren't together. But I wrote this book called Love Up Your Life.
Sure.
And what I do is I teach these science of attraction principles. And so for all the ladies that think they're going to change a guy, they are dead wrong. You know, or when you go into a relationship and you expect to do that, it's never going to work. The secret, the magic, the miracles occur when, again, we start taking responsibility for our own energy, when we start clearing our baggage, clearing old beliefs and stored up vibrations and frequencies from whatever, from everything we do in our lives. Then we send out a sort of like it's like a gong or a bell that sends ripples out into the universe, because we're more in harmony. It's like a tuning fork. So then what happens is what's in our heart, or what's really within our desires, those also go out into the universe, and like attracts like. Then the person that receives the signal, they can come in, and it works like truly a magnet. And whether it's our business, whether it's a relationship, or whether it's, your health, it affects everything.
Yeah, I'm glad you just referenced the business side of it also. I have a business that I run as well. And, one of the first things that I saw, like even with this testimony here, is sometimes even in business, we want to focus in on, let's get everybody together. Let's all move together at once. And what I've learned through business, through a lot of failures, a lot of successes, is that a lot of the things that we think should be done or could be done better in business, we can start to do that ourselves. And what our teammates are finding is that when we start to do it ourselves, we don't really have to explain to other people why they should do it or what they should do, because they see us doing it.
But more than that, what they're doing is unconsciously matching your vibration. So we do that. That's how we learn as infants. Before we even start speaking, we're matching our parents' energy. And so that's how we learn so fast by the age of, well, now kids seem to be like on a fast forward. They're just by a year old, they can recite Einstein practically. But, that's how we learn. We're matching everywhere we go.
That's beautiful. Is that what we call, is that synergy kind of, or no?
Well, yes. And it's just like we create disharmony also. So what do we want to match? Then that's where the conscious and choice comes in. What do you want to create? If whatever you want to create, you've got to create that within yourself. And that vibration will go out into the world and draw it to you.
So do you believe in synergy?
Yes. Yeah, that's like being in the flow, isn't it?
I guess I don't know. I always thought, and I'm probably wrong, it sounds like, but I thought synergy was like me by myself, I think that's energy. And you could correct me obviously if I'm wrong. Me, if I'm energy just by myself. But when Charles and I come together and do this podcast together, that brings a synergy. Like after one person, I always thought was synergy. Am I wrong or right?
No, I think it's correct, because your energies come together, and what does it do? It creates something bigger and more powerful in a different way than you would create on your own. But that's because you're working together. If you're not aligned and going down the same track, you don't have synergy. It's disruptive. It's frustrating. It's aggravating. It's like you want to punch the guy out, right? It's something fun. And unfortunately, that's where a lot of people are working. They're even fighting within themselves. The struggle comes within first. Obviously, you guys are doing your own internal work, and you come together and you make something even bigger and stronger. It's the same in every relationship. It's exciting when we got that little
what
bit
a great
of information.
time to be alive.
Yeah, definitely. Amirah, so you wrote a book, Your Life and Wake Up Shift Happens.
Right, and another one just released called Manifesting Miracles 101, The Art of Being in the Flow.
Oh, I like that one too. Are both of these on Amazon?
They're all on Amazon, yes. And Manifesting Miracles 101 is basically a journey, a guided journey that I take people through. It's a compilation of my 16 years of teaching, my mentoring program. So it's all the tips and all the tools that a person can walk through and create miracles, truthfully. I haven't held anything back.
That's awesome. And so we'll definitely put both of those links in the show notes as well. So I'm assuming Manifesting Miracles was your second book. Your first book was Love Up Your Life and Wake Up Shift Happens. What was that book called? I guess in a nutshell.
Well, those are two different books. Wake Up Shift Happens was actually the second book. Love Up Your Life was written before, but I didn't publish it till this year. And Love Up Your Life is basically, I was trying to take what I learned in my near-death experience and share it with the world, because most people at that time were not, sex sells, you both know that. and relationships, well, yeah, it might be okay, but people weren't on the same page I was at, and to try and create that love frequency within themselves. So it was kind of a trick approach to, yes, we improve your relationships, and yes, we get you loving yourself more, and then you're connected with the universe. That's where the magic and attraction and manifestation occurs. So that was my second attempt writing, and then Manifesting Miracles was just the recent one.
Awesome. All right, so we begin to wind down here. Demetrius, I don't know if you had any questions, any closing remarks for Amirah?
No closing remarks. However, I have been interested lately to know, what are some things that you do like for fun outside of business, work, family? Like, what does Amirah like to do for fun?
Well, I like to make miracles wherever I go, and that's a lot of fun. Like driving down the road, and I have a heavy foot, and the freeway in California, I will explode roses and get cars to move out of the way. And you have to really be focused, and it's especially effective when you're by yourself. So, I play with like psychic games like that, and I'm a reader, and I like movies, and I like discovering new things, going on little adventures. I love to travel. I just moved back from Dubai after living there for 5 years. So lately, I've been just enjoying my new apartment and sort of cocooning, because living overseas for 5 years took its toll on me. So I'm really enjoying being on American soil and reconnecting with funny things that are happening here. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. Walking, hiking, yoga.
Nice.
Cool. All fun stuff.
Yeah, eating great food and drinking champagne, and the holidays are here, so that's always fun.
Do you so there's know where we can find you, social media, website, if you have like a personal email or like a business email you want them to email with any questions?
Yeah, people, I invite you to send your questions to Amirah, AMIRAH, at Amirah Hall, and that's the same spelling, and Hall, HALL.com. And I'm on Instagram, Amirah Hall. I'm on Twitter, Amirah Hall, and I'm on Facebook, Amirah Hall. So, Amirah Hall, I'm here. Who in the hall is looking for a miracle? That's what I'm here to help people with. Oh, and YouTube. I've got a wonderful YouTube channel with some of the quantum energy tools and some guided meditations where people can just dive right in and start shifting their energy for a happy, successful, abundant new year.
Perfect. And we always include to the show notes as well. I mean, to all your links, so people who are listening in, we include everything in the show notes. It's easy for them to just click on the link and go wherever you are.
Okay.
Share with us scenario/question. It's random, or not random, but I usually pick it up from so it sounds like you've been to different countries, had different experiences there. One thing from visits that you admired about the place that we have here in America?
I'm sorry, you cut out a little bit. Can you say your question again, please?
Yeah. So it sounds like you've been to a couple of countries, of course, outside of the U.S. and experiences when you were in those countries. Admired about countries that we do not have here in the United States.
A gesture or something that they have?
Either or, a gesture or just anything. It could be something as small as the way they greet each other, like something as small as that we don't have here in America.
What I noticed is working over in the Middle East that every time somebody came to see me, they brought me a gift. And they weren't always big gifts, but there was always a gift. Of course, you greet each other on each cheek, a quick little kiss. And it was very gentle. And the other thing I learned from them is, you know how in America we text, we go, hey, yeah, I'll meet you at such and such a place at 5. Every text, every phone call, somebody there will say, how are you, Demetrius? How are you, Charles? Before they start the conversation, they really pause and they really do ask, how are you?
Wow,
and we've lost that here.
Yeah, I think we're in a society where it's get to the point, right to the point.
Yeah, we are. And I love that too. But they're not. And it was hard for me. I had to learn patience and sort of not be so abrupt and rude in our American way. And really, it softened how I really do greet a person like their special soul. And so that reminded me, slow down, get present, and be grounded, and greet a person like they're you. How would you want to greet yourself?
Again, thank you so much for coming on, airing. On behalf of Inner Success Radio, on behalf of myself and Demetrius, we appreciate the information that you shared, and we'll definitely look forward to potentially again having you on in the future as well.
Thank you so much. Blessings for abundant miracles to both of you.
And for everybody else, Inner Success Radio, you just got on Facebook at Inner Success Radio. We're on iHeart, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and TuneIn Radio as well. And as always, just remember to live each day to your fullest potential. Until next episode, talk to you later. Bye for now.
Whew.